Hello everybody, welcome back. Now, as you can tell, we're going through topic by topic here, and this lesson is going to be on rectangles and squares. And I suspect for most of you this is going to be a pretty easy revision, and that's awesome. But just to make sure, we're going to go over, well, what makes a rectangle, and what makes a square, and then how on earth do we find the area of each of them? Now, hopefully by now you can recognize what a rectangle is, but some of you might not know the exact definitions. And so what I've got here is I've got an example of a rectangle. And we see already in the corner, we've got these boxes. What do these boxes mean? I reckon you know. That's right. Yep. Yeah. They're right angles. And what makes a rectangle is that it's got a right angle in each corner. In other words, all of the sides are at right angles to each other. Another thing that makes a rectangle is that opposite sides have the same distance. This side and this side have the same distance. And you can deduce that because they're at right angles. If they're both parallel to each other, because they're coming off this side at right angles, then by definition that is going to have to be that, and that distance is going to have to be that distance. And so, finally, which I just I showed you with these arrows, because both sides are equal, opposite sides are also, should I say opposite sides are equal, opposite sides are also parallel. And so how do we find the area of this, now this mixed up looking shape? Well, it's really, really simple. The area of any rectangle is one side multiplied by the other side. In other words, one dimension multiplied by the other dimension. The base, or the length, multiplied by the height. Some of you might know it as length times width. Doesn't really matter what you call it. It's this side, we look for the right angle, boom, and then we turn the corner and we multiply it by that. So this would be 12 times by 9. 12 nines are 108 centimeters, but hang on, it's an area, it's not a distance, so it's centimeters squared. I hope that was clear enough. Now let's get a little bit cheeky and have a look at this one down the bottom. This looks a bit weird, it's on a tilt, but if you have a closer look, you see that all the corners are right angles and all the sides are the same. So what shape is this? That's right. It feels like a bit of a Sesame Street episode. It's a square. And the thing with a square is just a rectangle, but instead of having two sets of sides that are equal, all the sides that are equal. And so sometimes, and like in this case, you'll just have one distance and you'll have this where all the sides are kept the same. So what does that mean? That means that that distance is the same as that distance. So if I want to find the area of this, I can just do simply that side times by that side. Now, unfortunately, I think in some textbooks there's a different equation for it, and it says the area of a square is just the sides squared. Well, that's true, but why make it different? Why make it different to a rectangle? Because really all that's saying is this side times by that side, or the base times by the height. If we make that the base, then that has to be the height. They're all the same, just different ways of saying the same thing. And when it comes down to it, it's just 6.1 multiplied by 6.1. In this case, I'll just whack that straight into our calculator. 6.1 multiplied by 6.1 equals, boom, 37.21. Hang on, what units is it? Meters. Therefore, it's going to be meters squared. Boom. So let's recap. What have we learnt? We've learned about rectangles and squares. Now feel free at any point to pause, because I would like for you guys to copy this down somewhere in your book and make it nice and big and pretty, and I've used a highlighter here. Woo! But what have we learnt? We've learnt that rectangles and squares have corners that are at right angles. They also have opposite sides that are equal and parallel. That side is equal to that side is equal to that side. A square is different in that all the sides are equal. And finally, they have a formula that the area for both of these shapes is just the base times by the height. And with regards to squares, sometimes you might see that represented as side times side or side squared.